So if you clicked on this video, you might also be curious about what you could build on your Titan. Well, this is currently my favorite build that I'm using so far, and there are many different tweaks that you can make with this build. To each your own, do whatever you want. I mean, I'm not here to judge your life or do your life for you, whatever. So this is basically pretty much just the build that I've come up with so far. So anyway, the build persists of, super damage and being able to heal yourself while also giving yourself buffs and whatnot. So basically, you're going to start off with Faucet of Purpose. Faucet of Purpose, picking up an Orb of Power, grants either Amplified, Restoration, Frost Armor, Woven Mail, or Overshield based on the super damage of your super type. So since we're using the Twilight Arsenal, basically we're going to be getting the Overshield. So, and actually that comes very much in handy a lot. Because then basically, I mean, who doesn't want Overshield? Let's be honest. Who doesn't want Overshield? So, that being said, Faucet of Sacrifice. While you have an Arc, Solar, or Void buff, Final Blows grant bonus Darkness, Transcendence, Energy. So, basically, whenever we pick up an Orb of Power, and then we get our Overshield, while we have Overshield active, we get extra Transcendence Energy. Therefore, causing our Prismatic class to recharge rapidly, and we basically just do extra beefy boy damage. So, next we got the Faucet of Grace. Defeating targets with your kinetic weapons grants you bonus Transcendence Energy. Defeating your targets with super grants you and nearby allies Transcendence Energy. So, I'll get into the weapon that I'm using for this ability very shortly. And as you probably already guessed, obviously from the little crappy damage thing that I did, you probably could already take a guess what I'm using. Now, the build doesn't need that, but I definitely have noticed that it adds a lot to the build, and it helps out a lot, especially if you put yourself into a tight situation, and I'll explain how and why. Faucet of Courage. When your Arc, Solar, or Void abilities do increased damage to targets with darkness debuffs. So darkness debuffs consist of, strand and stasis. Of course, you guys probably know that. You're probably veteran players. I'm still a relatively new player, but I'm pretty good at making up, pretty decent builds. So hear me out. And then next we got Faucet of Bravery. Faucet of Bravery, defeating targets with grenade final blows, grants volatile rounds for your void weapons, and defeating weapons with powered melees grants your unraveling rounds to your strand weapons. So this is all in all not so bad, although the only reason I really use it is for the volatile rounds. I don't really use grenades that much. I more overuse a lot of melee rather. So having a strand weapon on this build would be much more preferred. However, at this current moment, I do not have a strand weapon on this build. If I wanted to, I could probably swap out the heavy with an LMG strand. Probably something along the lines of, if I have it on me, I do not. I'd had to, dig into my storage and get that out for you guys. But basically, these all put together, these all go hand in hand like sodomy, kids, and alcohol abuse. Like, just being real. If you caught that reference, leave a like on this video. Also, leave a like on this video anyway. Also, subscribe, because it helps out a lot. Anyway, I'm gonna get demonetized. I'm not even monetized. What am I worried about? Fuck you, YouTube. Don't really. Not really. I love you guys. Mwah. Anyway, so then obviously, for the build, this is the main thing for this build, right? So you're going to want to pay very close attention, and you will need to run these abilities. So you will need to run Frenzied Blade. The reason you're going to run Frenzied Blade is because it's the main systematic towards this build, because without this ability, it's just not going to do the maximum damage. Because, Frenzied Blade holds up to 3 charges, and by using Consecration, you can basically, do your Mega Slam, I'm super horny move, and then just slam the ground with your cock and balls and cause fire to appear. I know. And now, it's debatable whatever grenade you want. I mean, you can use whichever grenade you want. I mean, no one's going to judge you for it. You can use whichever. I use the strand one because it helps out a lot in certain situations, especially when you're doing legend, you know, and so on and so forth. I mean, it's up to you, really. I mean, I would probably stick with somewhere between the strand grenade or probably the void grenade, just so that way your faucet of bravery will activate, whichever one you want, really. So it comes down to you. Then, of course, knockout, getting us the critically wounded with target breaking effects with arcs, yada yada yada. Obviously you can read it. You can see how it is going to affect this build pretty well. So yeah, you can see why I would use this in this build. So I mean, everything else is up to you. Now, the choice of weapons that I would, you know, suggest, at the very least, you can run whichever weapons you want. It's really, I mean, you run what you want. But from my personal experience, I've noticed that the Monte Carlo exotic is the best one that I have personally used. Now, the only reason I suggest the Monte Carlo, right? So, of course, with your armor class abilities, or your armor abilities, or mods, or whatever, that can also affect the amount of melee and stuff you get back. So you can rig it up in some way where you don't even need to run the Monte Carlo. But I'm normally running other things on my gear, and I'll show you that in just a moment. Basically, Monte Carlo, when you do damage, you get melee ability, pretty much. And then on kills, it's a secondary ability. On kills, has a chance to fully charge your melee ability with each kill. And keep this in mind, depending on how many kills you get, you also, I mean, because Frenzied Blade can hold up to 3 charges. Basically, if you just rapid fire and kill, you know, several enemies, you can have your full ability back like instantly, which is crazy. I've noticed that this weapon definitely adds a lot to this build. You don't have to run this weapon, but I definitely recommend it. It's one of my most preferred. So up to you, really. And of course, you know, whichever weapons here you really want to run, is up to you. I mean, just be real. I'm just being real. I mean, you can run a strand weapon like in one of these slots. You know, using the harsh language because it's the void. It really comes down to personal preference. I'm sure plenty of you guys have like god rolls out there of things that you're like, oh no, I'm gonna use this. I'm like, fucking do it. I'm not telling you how to live your life. Do it. I mean, if you have a weapon that's gonna work, do it. I suggest something with high damage, such as, I mean, harsh language is a decent secondary for a high damage output for void. At least to my arsenal is what I have. You know, I mean, you run what you want. I mean, you do you. Okay, so as for the armor abilities, helmet, we're gonna have hands-on. I'm typically running 2 hands-on because I like to be able to activate that sweet super ability. I'm just being real. I'm just being honest, because that super ability is just the butter. Like, I love that new void ability. So, it's good. Right? So, and then obviously, you know, the void orbs for void damage. You don't need that, but you could probably, I don't know. I mean, you run what you want. Like I said, you could put one for strand, or you could just take off one of these hands-on, because honestly, with as many enemies you're going to be killing with your melee ability, you're probably going to end up dropping quite a few orbs. So you probably don't need 2 of them. So you could probably do a strand and a void, or you could just do a void, or you could just do a strand. I mean, you do you. It's optional. I mean, however you're going to build your, make your build. Obviously, another thing is going to be Synthoceps. Synthoceps actually buffs your super ability. So, because Synthoceps buffs your super ability, you're going to want Synthoceps. Now, Synthoceps is super easy to get, so all new players who are trying to, you know, join in the final shape, it's super easy to get. You don't have to frustrate. All you do is talk to Ikora. Any veteran players, you're probably thinking I'm stupid. All right, I get it. Okay, I hear you. I understand. The brain damage is getting to you too. I feel you. Trust me. I have to deal with that every day. So anyway, in here you've got, you know, you're just damage resistances. Everyone knows about the chest piece. Then next we got Void Weapon Surge. Again, you can run strands here, or you can run voids here. Up to you. You don't even have to run a recuperation. You honestly, you get so much back already, you could run here 2 invigorations and be just fine. You don't have to run 2 of the void damage buffs, or you don't even have to run any. Just run them all as invigoration. You'll have melee ability for days. Like, and then you won't even have to run Monte Carlo, because you won't really need the recuperation because you're already getting so much health from the consecration that it's just not necessary. It's really not. So up to you. As a player, this is up to you. This is just my suggested build. This is what I'm running. This is what I've had fun with, and this is what I like. I like to be complicated, okay? Alright, so next thing. This one also comes down to a semi-personal preference. I mean, time dilation is not necessary, however, it is nice. I definitely do suggest Reaper. Reaper will definitely help get a lot of those orbs that you will need. And then Bomber. Just because there's like nowhere else on this build that actually helps with grenade regeneration, you may want to run Bomber. It's again up to you. If you're like me and don't really ever use your grenades ever, then you probably don't need it. But having your strand grenade really does come in handy. So it depends on what kind of grenade you're using, and if you're trying to, you know, consistently use your grenades. I'm not personally a grenade fanatic. So, that just comes down to you. If you want to tweak stuff, honestly, like I said, builds are not meant to be always perfect to the individual player. It depends on how the player uses it, and if the player needs to make some tweaks, that player can make some tweaks. I see no harm in it. So anyway, that's been my build, and I'll get into the real damage. So anyway, if you guys like this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It also helps me out a lot. I know this is like, it seems very unprofessional of a video, and I apologize because it's the very first Destiny 2 video I've ever made. So I apologize for that. I hope you guys really enjoyed, even though I'm kind of retarded and didn't really explain things very well, and probably confused the fuck out of most of you. But deeply apologize for that, and hopefully there will be more in the future. Depending on how many people actually really enjoy this build. So let me know if you actually try out this build, and if it works out for you, great. And if it doesn't, I deeply apologize. But like I said, you can tweak it in any way you want. It really does come down to a majority of being a personal preference. So yes. Yeah, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.